Here's everything you might have missed in the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. The first trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi's here, and May 25th has never felt further away. Set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, the series will reunite Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker in the galaxy far, far away. Thanks to this trailer, we are slowly figuring out what exactly Obi-Wan got up to as the deeply unsuspicious Ben Kenobi, a kindly old hermit that keeps an eye on young Luke Skywalker from afar. Why neither of them changed their names, considering they're both very well known to the Empire, remains a mystery to me. But now we finally have the first trailer for the Obi-Wan series, so who cares? On Wednesday, after Entertainment Weekly released the first exclusive look at Kenobi, Disney released the official trailer for the Star Wars series during an investor call, and right after I filmed an episode. And if you felt a disturbance in the Force, don't worry, there was millions of Star Wars fans crying out and saying,
"Hello there."
Now we're gonna break it all down for you in just a moment, but if you prefer to read all about it, Amy Ratcliffe has you covered over on Nerdist.com. And if you don't want to know anything at all, well, make like Elon Sleaze-Bagano and get out of here.
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
All right, let's get into it, shall we? Directed by Deborah Chow and written by Joby Harold, the Kenobi series follows Obi-Wan Kenobi as a man on the run. Wanted and marked for death by the Empire, Obi-Wan has to elude Imperial forces as he establishes a safe haven for himself on Tatooine to keep an eye on the wee baby Luke. And don't worry, despite going back to Tatooine for the third Star Wars show in a row, we will visit some new planets in this show as well. At least one. The trailer begins with Obi-Wan taking a page out of Boba Fett's book and becoming an animal lover. Instead of another happy landing, Obi-Wan rides a desert-dwelling quadruped known as an Eope. Now, if you recall, we did see Obi-Wan riding one of these creatures towards the end of Revenge of the Sith. And speaking of which, the series takes place roughly 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. We see Obi-Wan trying his best to blend in on this desert planet. In voiceover, we hear him say, "The fight is done. We lost. Stay hidden." As Obi-Wan intones that last part, we see him look through binoculars at the Lars family moisture farm. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were tasked with keeping young Luke secret and safe from the Empire, while old Ben kept a watchful eye from a distance. Young Luke sits on his family's home wearing goggles and pretending to be a pod racer just like his dear old dad did way back in The Phantom Menace. And I've gotta say, this young Luke CG looks so much more convincing than The Mandalorian. They really made Mark Hamill look like a child. As we see later in the trailer, Joel Edgerton is also back reprising his role as Uncle Owen. And he'll come face to face with one of the show's big bads, the Force-sensitive Inquisitor Reva, played by Moses Ingram. She's tasked with hunting down Obi-Wan, but more on her in just a moment. And while we can expect to see Imperial forces galore coming after our heroes, there's a chance we could see another familiar face from the Book of Boba Fett on the hunt for Obi-Wan as well. And that is Black Krrsantan. In the comics, Krrsantan took Uncle Owen hostage at one point, leading to a major battle between him and the Jedi. Speaking with EW, Ewan McGregor described Obi-Wan's outlook at the start of this series. We find Obi-Wan at the beginning of our story rather broken and faithless and beaten, somewhat given up. And that broken feeling is really hammered home by the music change. As the Lucasfilm logo appears and fades into sand, the music transitions from a version of Battle of the Heroes to Duel of the Fates, which is John Williams' finest work. And if you disagree, I don't care. You're wrong. It's also fitting that the logo disappears into sand, just like Obi-Wan's doing on this show. After all, why would Anakin search Tatooine? If I know one thing about this space asthmatic, he hates sand. Next up, we see a black spaceship that appears to be a Fury-class Imperial interceptor. It's flying towards an imposing tower, and this is the Fortress Inquisitorius on the moon of Nur. This underwater fortress, which we first glimpsed in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, is home to the Empire's Inquisitors. For those who don't know what the Inquisitors are, they were originally created by Bill Slavichek and Curtis Smith for 1987's sourcebook for the Star Wars role-playing game. However, they rose to prominence as a major weapon in the Empire's arsenal during the Star Wars Rebels animated series. They were also a constant thorn in Cal Kestis' side in the video game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The Inquisitorius, as they're known, was a shadowy organization of Force-sensitive agents of the dark side who were tasked with hunting down the Jedi that survived the purge of Order 66. Typically armed with red lightsabers of their own, these elite soldiers were trained by Darth Vader himself and led by the Grand Inquisitor played here by Rupert Friend, or should I call him Rupert Enemy. This mysterious Powan Jedi Knight turned dark side soldier was a former guard at the Jedi Temple. Before he fell to the dark side, we saw him in the Clone Wars as one of the guards that brought the Jedi Temple bomber Barriss Offee before the Supreme Chancellor Palpatine during the trial of Ahsoka Tano. After surviving Order 66 and becoming disillusioned with the Jedi Order, he was recruited by Darth Sidious to become the leader of the Inquisitorius. And the rest, as they say, is history, assuming you pronounce history as Star Wars Rebels. He dies. We hear the Grand Inquisitor proclaim, "The key to hunting Jedi is patience," as the scene transitions to an interrogation on Tatooine. In the background, you can see the Fast and Furious star Sung Kang as the fifth brother, another Inquisitor. It seems the Grand Inquisitor's plan to catch Obi-Wan is to ratchet up violence, fear, and oppression on planets like Tatooine. We see this repeatedly throughout the trailer as Inquisitors publicly hang someone on Tatooine and force people in a market on the new planet of Daiyu to stand at attention. In voiceover, he says Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi code is like an itch. He cannot help it. He's got a scratch. All right, maybe not that last bit. Basically, they're hoping that Obi-Wan won't be able to resist the siren song of being a good guy, and yeah, something tells me that he probably won't resist. Otherwise, wow, what a bleak show this is gonna be. Reva, the fifth brother, and a mystery woman that I initially thought was the seventh sister sit at a table. And based on a close-up shot of her head later in the trailer, this might actually be a Thalothian, which spawned several Jedi like Adi Gallia, Stas Ali, and Indira Stokes in the past. As for that large chair that resembles the Fury Interceptor, that is most likely the chair belonging to the Grand Inquisitor because it's the coolest chair in the room. Moving on, we see Reva threatening people on Tatooine gathered around this man hanged in the public square. One of the people in the crowd is Uncle Owen, and we know from the EW photos he gets up close and personal with this Inquisitor. If she only knew that he's hiding her big boss's baby boy at his moisture farm. Uncle Owen is clearly a smoother operator than Luke gave him credit for, but then again, we've seen the type of folks that hang out at Tashi Station. It's a rough crowd. Now, if all of this Tatooine talk has you wishing for anything but moisture farms and more sand for a change, don't worry, we'll be visiting at least one new planet. Count 'em, one. According to writer Joby Harold, Obi-Wan will venture to a planet called Daiyu, which sort of has a Hong Kong feel to it. It's got a graffiti-ridden nightlife and is kind of edgy. It's just got a different lane and a different feeling. Man, really just taking Coruscant and yeeting that out the window like so many Mace Windus. We see Reva crouching on a Daiyu rooftop next to a sign that reads ER in Arabish, which is fitting because it looks like she's going to put plenty of people in the ER in this show. Now the next sign reads milk, which is fitting because Disney Plus is milking Tatooine for all it's worth. After that, an Imperial shuttle lands on Tatooine where we see a mysterious Imperial officer played by Game of Thrones star Indira Varma. Back on Daiyu, that Thalothian Inquisitor walks through the marketplace during an Imperial raid, and we see that Obi-Wan is also walking through the marketplace keeping an eye on his pursuers. There's also a new droid character who stands face to face with a stormtrooper, and it appears like the Orabesh on him reads Ned, which is a fine name for a droid, but I don't think that's the whole picture. If you can translate the whole thing, let us know in the comments below. More importantly, that droid looks like he's holding a gun as well while stormtroopers run past in the background. So our current working theory is this could be another nice, polite, but murdery sidekick a la K2SO in Rogue One.
Are you talking about me?
After that, we see Reva leaping across buildings on Daiyu in hot pursuit of someone. She's most likely chasing the mystery person with a blaster that she confronts in an alleyway. And side note, does that not look like Han Solo's DL-44 blaster? I'm not saying it's him, but is it him? Probably not. Doesn't really look like him later on in the trailer when they have a shootout, which, you know, he doesn't die here. He dies later. A lot of people in Star Wars die. I'll go through a list. Based on the shot of a Jedi crest carved into a wall later in the trailer, my best guess is this is almost like a thieves' cant, a symbol left on the wall to indicate a safe haven for Jedi. This person that Rev is chasing is most likely aiding Obi-Wan, or maybe helping other surviving Jedi with a safe house of sorts. And much like Michael Jordan, Reva took that personally. We see other Inquisitors wreaking havoc on Daiyu as well, like the Grand Inquisitor doing his best General Grievous impression with a helicopter lightsaber technique. The fifth brother also leads a detachment of stormtroopers through the streets. In the background, you can make out a few signs in Orabesh that read milk, snacks, and market. And something tells me the Empire's intolerance isn't limited to lactose. Back on Tatooine, Reva draws her lightsaber on yet another person at a cafe, and there's also an eruption of these weird green birds flying away during that firefight on Daiyu. What are they? I have no idea. Last but not least, we see the text on the screen, between darkness and defeat, hope survives. And then we transition to Obi-Wan's face. This is referring to A New Hope and how he's ensuring that Luke Skywalker survives to become the hero that the galaxy needs. And while we don't see him in this trailer, we do know that Hayden Christensen will be returning as Darth Vader in the series as well. And he's likely going to have a stern word with his former friend and mentor about why they skipped the high ground chapter during their training. And considering that the Inquisitors largely disappeared by the time of the Galactic Civil War, I would fully expect Reva to shuffle off this mortal coil by the series finale. Although, with that said, in the comics, the fiery undead spirit of the Grand Inquisitor did battle Luke from beyond the grave at a Jedi outpost on Tempest, despite dying on Mustafar in Star Wars Rebels, so anything is possible. Anyway, folks, there you have it. That is everything we spotted in the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. We'll have even more deep dives and breakdowns in the days ahead, but in the meantime, tell us, what did you think of this trailer? Did you spot anything that we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.